Hello, today is Friday, July 4th, 2025. And again, I'll be reading from the United Church of Christ Daily Devotional using a Christian scripture and text as a stepping off point to talking about our world today. And today's devotion actually does a good job of that all by itself, I think. The devotion for today is entitled Redcoats and Hats, written by Matt Laney. Matt bases the devotion upon 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 19, New Revised Standard Version. They promise them freedom, but they themselves are slaves of corruption. And Matt writes, today the U.S. celebrates the adoption of a document that began with all men are created equal, while simultaneously excluding women, indigenous peoples, and enslaved Africans. Independence for some, chains for others. This year we're watching our imperfect yet hard-won freedoms vanish like ink in the driving rain. Tyranny has evolved. It no longer wears a red coat. It disguises itself in slogans about freedom while legislating fear. It speaks of liberty while banning books and silencing dissent. It wraps itself in the flag and demands allegiance not to neighbor or justice, but to party, power, and a past that wasn't golden for everyone. The red coat has become a red hat. While that hat may claim to make a nation great again, Jesus never told us to make nations great. He told us to love our enemies, welcome the stranger, lay down power. For Christ followers, patriotism is never a higher calling than mercy and peacemaking. National loyalty is never a substitute for gospel justice. What do we do when an empire baptizes bigotry and calls it righteousness? We do what Jesus did. We flip the tables. We tell inconvenient truths. We feed the hungry, shelter the refugee, vote for the vulnerable, and pray with our feet. If fireworks ring hollow, you're not alone. Light a candle instead. Celebrate a deeper kind of freedom, one granted not for documents or borders, but by the Spirit who moves through protest songs and communion tables alike. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends when we pull. And Matt's prayer. Liberating God, give us courage to do justice, love mercy, and march boldly when fireworks fail. So much went through my mind as I was reading this. One is, I really think Matt is dead on in his understanding and interpretation from this text and from what's going on in the world today, in the sense that Jesus lived in a time when the Roman Empire, they weren't the Holy Roman Empire then, the Roman Empire ruled everything, and there were people of his faith tradition who were enmeshed in the empire and didn't live true to their faith tradition, but rather abdicated power to the empire. And Jesus really rallied against that and worked against that, which is what got him killed. That's why he was executed, because they were afraid of what he was starting, the movement he was bringing to life in the world. And I think today, in so many ways, Christianity has become enmeshed with empire and has confused the power and the wealth and the glory of empire with the power of love, and is really missing the whole point again. Some of it may be influenced, I think, too, about the emphasis in many Christian traditions today on working on the next life and not worrying about this life. Some being so extreme as to want to bring the end of the world, believing that would be the second coming, that would initiate the second coming of Jesus. So they're encouraging nuclear war to break out in the Middle East, which is just abhorrent. And if you are a believer in Jesus, I think that would be the last thing that would be on his mind, would be creating an environment where he can come back and save our souls. It's about how we live with one another, people. How we get along with one another, how we support one another, how we recognize that we are part of an integrated whole and will always be part of that integrated whole. Even when we pass from this life, we just become part. We just merge into the rest of the universe. And if you believe that that's God, that is salvation. I don't know, but missing the point. And when we embrace empire more than the love of God, the love of one another, the love of creation, and supporting what we have and one another. I also think that his statement too about the arc of the moral universe is long. That's a paraphrase from something that Dr. Martin Luther King said. Yes, it does. The arc is long, but it doesn't move unless we do the work. It's not going to change on its own. We have to be at the forefront of bringing to life that moral arc and bending it by working towards it. Anyway, those are my thoughts for this day. Maybe they've given you something to think about, something to grab onto, to fight for on this day that we're trying to remember our freedom in a time when freedoms are being taken away from so many people. Anyway, my thoughts. Hopefully you have something to think about. Hope you can find a way to enjoy this day and to have it inspire you to take action. And hope to talk to you again soon.